I would now like to now like to invite um, Mr. Vinay Jain, Director Operations Service Provider Business at CISCO, for his session. Mr. Jain.
Okay, well, so I think what I'm going to talk about is the key tenets of building next generation digital infrastructure for India, wherein okay, sorry about that. Okay, so we are going to talk about the key tenets of building next generation digital infrastructure for India, wherein we create a sustainable business environment for government, enterprise, as well as operators and consumers to deliver cost-effective services and consume it anywhere where they want to kind of consume it. So just to talk about a few key telecom transitions in terms of digital globalization. Okay, good. One of the McKinsey quotes, one of the McKinsey studies in 2016 said that data flow share of global GDP is now much more than the trade in goods, and that's something which is actually reflecting and growing. The gap is growing much rapidly as we move forward. This was a study in 2016, and we're already seeing so many new generation companies who have come up and kind of accelerating the overall revenue exchange among global economies. Talking about some of the telecom transformations, devices from 2000 when we were talking about 3G, those were the days when we were talking about PCs, things moved to smartphones in 4G environment. And now we're talking, as we move to the 5G, we're talking about more of things, various devices, people who kind of needs to be connected to the network, and the kind of stuff which Chris talked about. Imagine the kind of strain it's going to put on the net, the way you build the networks. In terms of density, we were talking about 1.5 device per person back in 2000, and the Vinay study from CISCO says that it's going to go to 4 times by 2020. We're talking about 6 devices per person. Innovation, earlier we saw that standards were mostly driven by European and US operators, and that was where the innovation was happening, but more and more innovation now is happening from India, China, and our region. And that's how the standards are evolving and new services are happening. In terms of service evolution from connectivity, during 3G days, we moved to content in 4G. Whether it is video content or on-demand content. And now the way it is going to move forward is information, right? The way you kind of deliver information and also do analytics and take actions based on what that information is going to kind of enable for you in terms of intelligence and business capability. In terms of platforms, earlier it was basically connectivity platform. We moved to social and entertainment in the 4G space, and then now it's going to be the business enablers more in 5G space, right? These are the new kind of paradigm shift which we'll see as we move into 5G deployment. Technology from digital to flat IP and packet architectures, now it's going to be multi-cloud kind of environment in 5G. So all this, one of the Microsoft study recently showed that all these transformations are going to generate almost like a $154 billion kind of new opportunity for India. So what does this all put into, what does this mean in the context of building new digital platform or new digital networks? So there are 3 pillars of that. One is it has to be highly customized, when you're talking about personal and relevant information which needs to be provided to that particular segment of the usage. It has to be empowered in terms of aware and in control, and then because the threat surface is going to be spreading dramatically, you're talking about privacy protection as well as the integrity of the network which you build. So this translates into how do you build the digital service platform. So it has to be open, open enablement, wherein you can have a vast range of ecosystems which can thrive and come up with new customized use cases. It has to be agile, the stuff which Chris talked about, some of the earlier speakers talk about. Those kind of new strains are going to come on the network. How does your network respond to those situations, and how does it accommodate those strains on the network? And it has to be heterogeneous. Not only we're talking about licensed, but unlicensed, as well as fixed and mobile convergence going forward. As I said, this is going to be translating in 5G space. We're talking about one unified network which is going to be addressing all sort of services, right? So how do you go about delivering those services? Today you can't do that. Each and every service is a bespoke network, and that's not something which is scalable and sustainable. And that's why we see today operators are not able to make a sustainable business case, right? Tomorrow, when you deploy 5G, that gives you an opportunity to build one unified network and use architectural capabilities like network slicing, and which kind of allows you to attach different attributes to different type of services and be able to deliver variety of services from the common infrastructure at a much more cost-effective way. Some of the next generation digital infrastructure requirements, these are the different pillars we're talking about. Enhanced mobile broadband is the lead use case, differentiated quality of services. And all these things are the parts which are going to be delivered and built as we move forward on 5G space. Just quickly talking about the step function which 5G is going to allow, and which are the main reasons why you will have a very different type of approach to deliver the services in more cost-effective manner. So whether it is in terms of rate of delivery, capacity, latency, everywhere you're talking about multifold enhancements. And then you have ability from the same network to deliver mobile broadband, for example, to have certain aspects of the network which will allow you to kind of bind them together as part of a slice and deliver that type of service. Similarly, when you're talking about mission critical, which is high latency, low latency, highly reliable kind of network, those attributes you attach to particular slice and go after delivering those services. You'll certainly see variety of those slices and services which will kind of get enabled, and they will be, because it is all going to be enabled from the same common infrastructure, you will see much better cost structures. So I'll just kind of close by saying that 5G is already happening. So we have already seen this launched in US, it's getting launched in Korea in a couple of months. Japan is going to follow very soon. Some of the other Asian countries are going to do, and by I think by end of this year we'll start seeing some movement. We're already doing some trials, and this is happening. So we already heard a lot of speakers today where a lot of things like curbs, they're already talking about those tenets which are already being put in the network. Next is when we talk about network slicing going into the mix, and some of those 5G spectrum allocation and deployment. That is where the next phase of transformation will happen. Thank you very
much. Thanks a lot, Mr. Jain, and I think very interesting things about 5G. I think everybody is very, very eagerly awaiting to see when and how 5G rolls out and how does it change people's lives. So thank you so much, and I'm sure many of those promises will be fulfilled.